This YouTuber thinks he has just entered one of his normal videos.
It's gonna be awesome. And I've ordered costumes, I've got this bomb-ass script ready to go.
But for the next 7 days, William will be making a video without memes. A video without fancy edits, without gimmicks. This will be a video with zero shitposting.
Not here to make friends.
Our YouTuber has gotten out of touch with making good content. Too focused on being entertaining to create content that is actually useful. Our program of only content and no entertainment will teach our YouTuber how to actually teach the audience something useful. But the question is, will gimmicks be too hot to handle?
It's 10 p.m. on Sunday, right after finishing watching Too Hot to Handle. What can our tabletop role-playing games learn from this self-indulgent cesspit? Most of you subscribe to learn about pre-modern tabletop role-playing games, and that's okay. However, I did promise this video ages ago, and I kinda just have to put it out. I know it's a switch, bear with me. It's Tuesday. I had the flu yesterday. If you're new to my How to Rip Off series, then here's the shtick. I'm not here to teach you how to create a Too Hot to Handle adventure module. I am instead diving into the elements of the piece of media in question, and we are finding the elements from it that could benefit us to learn from in our own RPG games, whether or not they have anything to do with Too Hot to Handle or reality television.
William.
Fuck. Is it just me? Or is my humidifier talking to me? Alright, let's get into it. Let's do it to them. So, as a dungeon master, I really enjoy playing with different genres. It's a very good way to facilitate role-playing, even with players who don't normally get into the role-playing. People are very aware of the tropes in their favorite movies, books, TV shows, video games, all sorts of things. And if you give them the opportunity to step into the roles that they are familiar with, they will happily and very comfortably do so. Now, with most forms of tabletop RPGs being fantasy-oriented, you may not have come across this truth, but the fact is that most players are far more comfortable playing with things they're more familiar with over fantasy. This is not me telling you to ditch fantasy. By all means, keep fantasy. However, when your game offers you the opportunity to genre hop, I say you take it. And do so with the knowledge that your players are going to attempt to fulfill the tropes of that genre. Have you ever done a Western-themed game? If you have, I'm sure you've realized that your players expect an opportunity to get into a sundown gunfight, or else you'll end up with quite a few disappointed players. So as much as I am loath to admit it, the idea of playing a reality TV show in an RPG game is actually a pretty smart move. Now, if you're interested in creating a reality TV show as your entire campaign, I would recommend you don't run it in a normal adventure system like Dungeons & Dragons. You should instead play it off of a system that is specifically built around that idea, and those do exist. I Came Here to Win just came out this year, and there are older systems such as Tacky, Tawdry, and Tasteless that are available with little more than a Google search. If you're interested in a reality show campaign that plays a little bit more traditionally, you could consider playing X-Crawl, a game about a fantasy version of games like Ninja Warrior and American Gladiator. I know it's not normally thought of as an RPG, but I would recommend the game Fiasco as well. It facilitates exactly the kind of drama we're going for with reality television, and on top of that, it's also completely DM-less. More specifically, I actually think there's a lot of potential in your normal games to have a reality show arc. In most fantasy role-playing systems, there's more than enough magic running around for you to justify there being some equivalent to television shows. And if there is, you can by extrapolation assume that there are reality shows. It would actually be very easy to justify the main cast of your game having to infiltrate a Too Hot to Handle style reality show for a single adventure arc. For a few sessions, you'll end up having your players in stitches while your half-orc barbarian player is role-playing as
Beketha, who's not here to make friends.
Bringing this back to my point about genre conventions, this is a great opportunity for your players to let loose and step into some roles they're familiar with, and just have a good time for a few sessions.
William,
Fuck.
for continuing to shoot this video as a terrible reality show, $10 million have been subtracted from your prize money.
Listen here, humidifier. I'm only on this show for all the followers I'm gonna get on the gram. I don't care one bit for your process, and I don't care about the prize money.
It feels extremely weird waking up next to Peter and not my Mormon. I was hoping to get some type of reaction from him. But I'm playing a really tricky game here.
You were topless and you was touching your butt. He was like, no.
Has there ever been a relationship strategy quite as dysfunctional as the idea that I'm going to make them jealous? Why does every contestant on these shows seem to think that's a good strategy to prevent drama? Or maybe they know it's going to create drama and they're just in it for the ratings and the popularity. Regardless of the motivation, you can learn a little something from the let's make them jealous style of roleplaying. Shows like Critical Role make it look like Dungeons & Dragons is spent 90% of the time with the party interacting with one another, which is very easy to do if you're a group of internationally acclaimed voice actors who almost universally have a background in improv. However, for your average Joe, that's just not really going to be the case. Your average group of players may need some prompting to get them to roleplay within the party, instead of just role-playing exclusively with the Dungeon Master. So whether you're a player who just wants the group to roleplay a little bit more, or you're a DM trying to spark this within your group, you might benefit from a little round of making them jealous. Too Hot to Handle is excellent at creating drama for their players, and for throwing stable relationships into question, as well as preventing the unstable relationships from actually stabilizing. Now, this is all in the name of personal growth, but we see what you're doing, Netflix. Well, if you would like to keep your players role-playing easily, fluently, and consistently, then perhaps you too need to test their personal growth like Netflix does, and their inter-party relationships need to be thrown into question at any opportunity you can safely do it. Now there's this thing they do on Too Hot to Handle, where they introduce new contestants the second the drama has sort of settled down and leveled out. And these new contestants are almost certainly briefed ahead of time on what they're supposed to be doing to kick up drama. They know exactly who to hit on and who to pester, and they do it with surgical precision. If you are the Dungeon Master, there are so many ways you can do the exact same thing. You can add NPCs into the game that will play off of the insecurities of the player characters and try and encourage different party members to take sides against one another until they eventually come together to deal with the problem and isolate this toxic NPC. This all comes together to provide your players with plenty of opportunities to test their relationships with one another. And if you're a player, you can try this too with your own character. Just don't go too far, or else you'll end up being the toxic player who's just bringing the group down. But as a player, if you see a fantastic opportunity to make them jealous, then you should absolutely take it. As I said though, do not take it too far. As we have seen in Too Hot to Handle, this always backfired on the troublemakers, who ended up isolated from the rest of the group and usually kicked off the show.
William,
I live on an island. Things are already plenty humid. You could be gone at a moment's notice. I don't need you.
you have spent this entire video engaging in a reality show gimmick, and this entire video concept was a shit post.
Oh, we aren't getting any prize money, are we?
However, you have taught your audience how to rip off Too Hot to Handle in tabletop role-playing games. You may now tell your audience to like and subscribe.
And to check out my other How to Rip Off videos. Also, you can follow me on Twitter. That helps too. And remember, I'm not here to make subscribers. I'm here to win.